Namaskar. This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio, welcoming listeners in East, West and Northwest Africa and West Europe and the United Kingdom. For listeners in East Africa, we are beaming this service on 11,935 kHz on the 25-meter band, 13,695 kHz on 22-meter band, and 17,670 kHz on the 16-meter band. Our West and Northwest African listeners can tune into us on 9,445 kHz on the 31-meter band and 11,580 kHz on the 25-meter band. Listeners in West Europe and the United Kingdom can listen to us on 7,000 and 9,950 kHz on the 31-meter band and 11,670 kHz on the 25-meter band. Welcome listeners to the day's transmission from the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Let us now listen to the summary of the programs to be broadcast today. The transmission would commence with devotional music. The news would be broadcast at 18 hours UTC, corresponding to 23:30 hours Indian Standard Time. You can listen to the day's commentary at 18:10 hours UTC, followed by a session of Hindustani instrumental music at 18:15 hours UTC. In our program, Faithfully Yours, we'll bring you today replies to your letters at 18:30 hours UTC. You can listen to our program of film music, Moods, at 18:45 hours UTC. Test review would be broadcast at 19:05 hours UTC. And you can listen to Carnatic classical musical vocal at 19:20 hours UTC, followed by a session of light music at 19:35 hours UTC. Listeners, those were the details of the program to be broadcast. Time by the studio clock is 18 hours UTC. Please stay tuned in for the news.
This is All India Radio. The news read by Nishit Kumar. The headlines. India and Sri Lanka decide to facilitate an early meeting of fishermen from both the countries to resolve the trespassing issue. Indian High Commissioner in Brunei says Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh's visit will provide big boost to the Indo-Bruneian relations. RBI cuts marginal standing facility rate by 0.5% to improve liquidity. And in Andhra Pradesh, thousands of villages and towns remain cut off from power supply due to strike protesting bifurcation of the state. Home Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde appeals to people to create an environment for healthy dialogue. The details.
This is the General Overseas Service of All India Radio. Time by the studio clock is 18:30 hours UTC, corresponding to 12 midnight Indian Standard Time. And now, we bring you listeners replies to your letters in our program, Faithfully Yours. Faithfully Yours is presented by Maria Albina Michael and Sanjeev Barua. Mondays, the program Faithfully Yours and the station, the General Overseas Service of All India Radio.
A big hello to all our listeners tuned in. As usual, I'm Sanjeev Barua with another edition of this mailbag program. And with me is my co-host,
Albina Michael, who will be reading out the letters, and welcome everybody to the program.
Absolutely. So where are we starting from today?
Well, with this postcard again sent in by our mysterious listener.
Right.
Herman Walter Ziegler and family.
Right.
And as usual, there is no address or email. And of course, we know he lives in Berlin.
Yes.
He says, good day, and this is dated the 9th of September 2013. It is 18 UTC, and I hear All India Radio very good on 7,550 kilohertz in Berlin, Germany. I'm happy to hear All India. And with that ghazal by Mehndi Hassan, we are now closing down this transmission from the Channel Overseas Service of All India Radio. Our listeners in East Africa can join us at 23:15 hours Indian Standard Time, that is 17:45 hours UTC, tomorrow on 11,935 kilohertz on the 25-meter band, 13,695 kilohertz on the 22-meter band, and 17,670 kilohertz on the 16-meter band. For our listeners in West and Northwest Africa, we'll be back on the air at 17:45 hours UTC. We'll be back on the air for listeners in West Europe and the United Kingdom in an hour's time from now. So, until then, thank you for tuning in. Goodbye. Jai Hind.
वंदे मातरम। ये ऑल इंडिया रेडियो की